Hello, rodeo fans, and welcome back to the Short Round Podcast, the official podcast of the Canadian Professional Rodeo Association. I'm your host, Wacey Anderson, once again joined by my buddy Clay Creasy. Clay, episode 10 of the Short Round. It's kind of a monumental episode, if you want to call it that, but we made it to 10, and I appreciate you helping me out these last few episodes. It's really been nice to have a co-host to make my way through this stuff. So yeah, just wanted to note that before we kind of get into what's going on in the Pro Rodeo Canada world here.
Yeah, for sure. I think you've been doing a great job with them, really, really coming up with some great interviews and things like that. And I'm just really excited to be helping out with it. It's been a fun little thing to be a part of. So
Well, I think it's been good. It's been well received. People seem to be enjoying the shows, and the guys that we've been interviewing, guys and girls we've been interviewing, seem to be enjoying it. So it's a fun way to kind of showcase our people and kind of shed a light on some of the cool stories that they have to tell. So I'm excited for us to continue down the road with this as we head into the season. And speaking of that, we're kind of in a bit of a lull in the Pro Rodeo Canada schedule. There's not much happening down south. There's not much really happening in Canada. We're kind of just sitting around and waiting for things to really fire up. We got Medicine Hat and Dawson Creek coming up in the next couple of weeks, and that's kind of like really opens the floodgates, if you will, when it comes to the schedule. So we'll have lots more to talk about, but we don't have a lot to go through this week. So, but yeah, it's exciting that the kind of the meat of the season's on the horizon, Clay, and I think it's going to be really good. Really good. After Rimby, it's going to be a really good season. We got some young guns kind of doing some good work, and some of the household names are back in the mix. So it's going to be a really fun 2024.
for sure, yeah, no, I think again, anytime there's kind of that one rodeo that jumps out in March and then you've kind of got to wait. It kind of used to be the same thing with Camrose and then you had to wait until Medicine Hat, and you kind of
Mm-hmm.
you dive in and you're ready to go, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, I guess we just hang out and wait a little bit.
Yeah.
And that one can always be tricky for people that are kind of coming back from an injury too, right?
Right.
I know for me, my last year rodeo and pro, I didn't enter Camrose because I was just kind of, I think I got on my first horse that same weekend and wasn't ready to just throw my name in the hat quite yet. And
Yeah.
but it's one of those things that it's still a good starting point for some people, and maybe some people things didn't go quite the way they wanted, and so
Mm-hmm.
you kind of got some time to regroup and kind of have that dress rehearsal before things really start getting going here in April and May. So
Yeah, like you say, it kind of opens the door to kind of see where you're at after a long winter hanging around, and then you can kind of if you need to do some more practicing or get back in the gym or do whatever before the season really gets going, and kind of a good opportunity for that. So we're excited. It's going to be an awesome season, and things are going to be rolling along here. Like we said, Medicine Hat and Dawson Creek coming at you the April 19th and 20th weekend. So those will be really fun to check out. Kind of the first bigger rodeos of the year. So I'm sure you'll see all the big dogs come into play, and it should make for some pretty awesome action to start the season off. But we got a really fun interview set up for you guys this week. We got Scott Guenthner, four-time Canadian champion, Calgary Stampede champion. He's got a fun little story him and Clay tell about the Gooseberry Lake boot race, and it's going to be a really fun episode. So I think it's a good time to go to that, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Welcome back to the show. This week I'm stoked to welcome our next guest. He's a four-time Canadian champion, a Calgary Stampede champion, and a Wrangler NFR qualifier. And he's even the 2022 Cowboy of the Year. Welcome to the Short Round Podcast, Scott Guenthner. Scotty, thanks for doing this, man. Super stoked to have you on the show this week.
No problem. Anytime.
We also recruited another special guest host. We got Clay Creasy joining us again. Clay, when I mentioned to you that I was doing this interview with Scott, you said you'd happily volunteer to jump in and help me interview him. So I appreciate you taking the time again today, man.
Yeah, Scotty and I have known each other and definitely crossed paths quite a few times over the years. So thought it'd be one I'd try to help out a little bit with.
Right on. Well, Scott, how's things been going, man? What's been up to this winter? I know it's a little bit quieter for you these days, and you're not kind of chasing it around the U.S., going to all these winter rodeos. But what's going on? How things going?
Good. Yeah, it's been a pretty quiet winter. I had our third baby boy in January. So kind of been home doing that for a while. And then I ended up actually going to San Antonio and Houston this year. Of course, telling no one that I'm going to go. But I went, I decided that I guess I might not get invited to Houston any more times. especially as an invite deal. So I might as well go. It's 50,000. It's pretty easy to make a family holiday. So we went for, I guess it was about 10 days this year. I took my wife and 3 boys and myself, and rodeo with 3 kids is a lot. I can say that now, but it was fun. Yeah, other than that, it's been pretty quiet. Just started to get some stuff kind of lined at home now, and getting my horse ready to go at home. We had rodeo, I guess, last weekend at Rimby. I didn't have any luck, but my horses were in shape. But I need to practice.
You're the next one. They need to get in shape now, I guess. Hey.
Yeah.
So what's the season shaping up for you? Like or shaping up for you? Like then I know we've kind of been, everybody kind of knows you're taking it a bit slower than you usually have in the past. But are you going to hit it pretty hard this summer up north of the border, or what's 2024 shaping up like for you?
So for now, I'm gonna just stick to Canada just like I did last year. I'm gonna cross and go to the NFR Open just because I got into it. Also, I mean it's 1.2 million or whatever it is at, so I guess you can't really turn it down. And then I get back into Calgary, got that invite the other day, and so those ones, and then I'll just stay in Canada. And, stay close to home with the kids, especially with having a brand new baby. It's a little extra for Becky to have to deal with the 2 older kids and the 2-year-old's a handful. So it's hard to for a little bit.
Well, and it's kind of nice with how things have kind of transpired in Canada over the last few years with the amount of money that there is to be won. I know I've talked about this with a few other guys where like you look at rodeos like Panoka and all these other places kind of always upping their prize money and making it, there's more available for you guys to win out there. And I think it's a testament to how strong rodeo is and the growth of rodeo in Canada. And it's pretty sweet to be able to stay home in rodeo and make a pretty good living at it, especially if a guy makes a CFR. There's a ton of money to be won in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple good years the last couple of years up here since I stayed home, and I've made actually more money in my pocket staying in Canada up here than I had before, and just in general, especially with costs nowadays is astronomical.
Crazy.
Right, we want this lovely carbon tax. I added on today. It's so exciting, but it's there's one more money in Canada, and if you can focus focus on just Canada or whatever, just stay up here and do well, you can make a pretty good living. A couple of years ago, 2 years ago now, I set like a new season earning in Canada for 149,000 just out of the year. That's not bad money to kind of have in your piggy bank. And I definitely didn't spend as much on fuel and IMF horses and stuff, so it always cheapens it up a lot when you're close to home. When I'm living on the road, when I was in the States, I just didn't make much money. That's really what boiled down to, between taxes and then your costs is so astronomical.
Yeah, and probably it's a lot easier with a young family at home too, right? Being able to spend time with them, and you got the ranch and everything too. So it's pretty cool how that's like that kind of availability to win a good amount of money in Canada has like transpired over the last few years, and even so the competition. Like you look at the competition this year wrestling last year, like you had the best guys in the world coming up here on a consistent basis. So it's not like there's lacking that way. It's just, it's easier to stay home and make a good living at it. You see, and that's across the board in all the events too. Like you see, like Zeke's breaking earnings records. Jared Parsons won a lot of money over the last few years in Canada. It's pretty cool to see how that's been coming about.
It's always been, the bowling has always been tough. In Canada alone, just before. I know when I was rodeoing the States, some guys on the stage would always be like, "Oh yeah, we're just gonna come up, during the summer, win a couple thousand, 10,000, whatever, to go back home," kind of thing. Like just we'll be here and there, and they come to it and like, "Holy, it's not easy to win up here." Like I know, like we're going against some good guys. Like these are some of the best guys in the world. They just don't want to go and don't want to go down the States, which is totally up to them and their choice. But you're not just competing against just the average person up here when you come up here. That's for sure.
That's one thing I wanted to ask you is there's always seemed to be a strong contingent of Canadian guys when you look at the Roys, the Cassidys, like all these different families and people who have had success on both sides of the border from Canada. Like what do you think is kind of the testament to that? Why does Canada have so many good steer wrestlers coming out on a consistent basis?
I think it's just, this is the drive, I guess, and they'll want to do it and stuff. And then, I think lots of it just, once you, those families that have had somebody down there, that helps, you got those ins down there to help you when you're down there, cheapen up costs. And then on top of that, there's no difference between me, in my opinion, between Canada and, US, I guess, person-wise. I can be just as talented as, the best guy in the world. And I'm just from Canada. I mean, I think it's just a matter if you put your talent, and put the work and effort into it. I mean, I have an example where I was even calling this lighting the world up on fire. I mean,
Yeah.
he'd gone upward when I was first going down there, but he's a couple years younger than I am, and he didn't have much luck. But then he just had the drive to keep going, and now look, he's made the NFR. He's within the top 10 again already. Like, I mean, it's just I think it's just the drive. I mean, he's not coming from a family of knowing bulldoggers. He's not making it his own way. But I mean, I think some of it has to do with genetics a little bit. Like it helps. Sit down, and move your, and they did well. It seems like that kind of drives it to be a little harder, try a little more, I guess.
Well, and I think too, there's always been lots of good horsepower. You got like horses like Willie and Tyson, and so many great horses have come through the ranks over the years. I think just that combination of a lot of talent and a lot of good horsepower like helps out so much.
Well, that's astronomical to what, especially in the bulldog world. I mean, horsepower is massive. I mean, I straight out said I've never went Canada without Tyson underneath me. Last year I rode the Guenthner at horse. I'm like, yeah, my horse did great all year. It's a super nice horse, and I would have rode him, but I liked him back line. I'm like, why? I've never rode Tyson. Not rode Tyson. That's CFR to win it. And so why not just start and just ride him the whole way through? And I mean, Kurt's nice enough to let me on, but I mean, I rode him at the NFR, and I've rode a couple other guys' horse at the NFR. And I mean, I was like, you ride the best. It makes it easy. I guess makes winning a lot easier. If you're riding the best horse, that's for sure.
Yeah, to taking out the kind of the variable of like not knowing what your horse will do or getting you in the right spot kind of helps out so much. You take it as long the horsemanship side of it's taken care of. You can just go out and do your job.
Exactly. I know that's what I sort of Tyson is always you back in the box, and he stands like a shot dog, but he does not move, does nothing. I mean, and it comes down to that you got to focus on yourself, and you got a bulldog to do your part of it. He's going to do the same shot, the same go. He's going to score pretty much for you. You just got to go. So it makes it easy, that's for sure.
He's like Wayne Gretzky. He'll just put it on your stick, and you're the other one who's got to bury it. So
yeah.
Well, so before we move on, let's jump back to the start of your career. I know Clay has some questions for you, kind of to roll into that and how you got your starts and kind of how you got to where you are today. So take it away, Clay.
Yeah. So I mean, again, you and I have quite a bit of history back in the day, little bits of history, and knowing that as much as you grew up in the area of the Monitor Mumblers there and everything like that, you didn't necessarily dive right into the steer wrestling, even though obviously your dad, Ken Skinner, as everyone around there knows, is Canadian and Calgary champ, and your cousin Justin there, but kind of waited a little bit longer to get started. So what was kind of the reasoning behind waiting, and what ended up being that final push?
Yeah, so I didn't really crave it when I was young. I was playing hockey, and I played very good competitive hockey in concert. I mean, we had a good team. It was just my classmates. And we actually ended up doing very well in hockey. We won provincials 5 times and won silver 3 times. So we had a good career with that. And with that team, I was practicing or in hockey every time they practiced at the arena or during the week. So that kind of took away from me even being around or going to the arena. Yes, I went road. Yes, I went out Justin there, and all the time I'd run the gate from. But I was also 5'2". I was just an itty bitty guy until grade 11, and then I grew in grade 11 and started grade 12, and I still played hockey and I played volleyball. So I mean, it was pretty tied up with with those things. And then I went to college and had a blast in college, and was at a bar one night, was visiting with oh my goodness, Dax Eaglebear. And he was like, why don't you rope, or why don't you bulldog? Like, you're from a family of rodeo people. And I'm like, I don't know, like, I don't really have a horse, so I don't really care. He said, well, I have a horse, you can get on calf rope. I'm like, okay. So that's kind of where it started. I mean, I had bulldog pads, throws and steers out at home, but usually I just used the wall to stop myself, and then it really wasn't much fun at all. And then in college I did that, and then I rodeoed it's the first year in college just as a calf roper, and then moved along, and I went home that summer, was practicing and did some amateur rodeos and stuff, and then came back the next year to college and was roping calves and roping. And then I decided when I was at home that I'm really doing all these best of muscles, try bulldogging, or start bulldogging. So I actually did the same old dad and I ran steers in the alleyway, and I ran steers down just this straight old alleyway and threw them down. Dad would go away and come back like, let's see it, and I'd do it, and he's like, oh, gotta fix this. So start like that, and then come goose spray that summer, Dad's like, you might as well try to go for the all around and goose spray. And I'm like, I guess, yeah, there's just that left. So I went and practiced jumps. I think it's probably 5 steers at Darren's arena that day. And then I left that weekend on Friday to Killam was the first one I went to that weekend. Jumps here. I ended up winning second there. And then I went to goose spray, and I might as well just turned out because I never will goose spray anyhow. But and then it kind of from there went on, and as I kind of did more bull logging, I started to enjoy the bull logging side of it. I enjoyed gaff roping. It's just a lot of practice and a lot of timing, and I didn't really need a lot of practice as much as you should have for that. And so, I mean, I could rope a gaff, and it's time went down, but I wasn't gonna blister through and make some new world record. I can tell you that. And then I just proceeded to kind of stick to bull logging and went from there. And I enjoyed bull logging. I had a lot more success in bull logging, so now we're just made it too.
Were you surprised by the instant success? Like you said, you placed like pretty much right from the beginning, from when you started. Like, was that what you're like, hey, I could actually make a career out of this, or was it just we're just going along with it?
I kind of think those. At first, I thought it was just a lot of luck. I was like, that's just like late there. Jared Frank walked over to me that day. And he's like, of course, you show up to the first rodeo, you have to just whoop us all, beat us. And I'm like, I just win it. I won second. Just win the rodeo. He's like, yeah, you're already on hard to like kick our rear ends all summer. I'm like, okay. So, no, I mean, at the time, I just was happy in rodeo and having fun and kind of hanging out and going to some friends and stuff at home. So, I mean, I enjoyed it, and yeah, success is great. But I mean, it was kind of I feel like a little bit of beginner luck at the first second of it, and then kind of once that moved on, then it was like, okay, I can actually maybe make a career of this.
Was there moments like when as you moved along and like started thinking about going pro and stuff, where you kind of had to take that next step in like practice and training and that kind of stuff, or was it just kind of the more you did, the better you got?
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't go out. Yeah, I mean, I didn't go crazy about that, but I did practice a lot more when I was stepped up into the pros and stuff. And I mean, I was practicing like in minus 30 because I thought I needed to. Maybe not
like Rocky.
Yeah, it wasn't fun. It was cold. It was miserable, but I wanted to do it because I wanted to, win and go. But I mean, training wise, yes, I won't lie. I've never gone to the gym. I don't really care. When they ask me what the gym is, I'm like, gym, what does that mean? But no, I mean, I practice wise, yes, I practice more once I get going, but I kind of did in steps. I said to myself, like, I want to win one of the amateur associations, 1 year, and then I would buy my card or go, take my card and go to the pros, feeling like I would, step by step kind of thing, knowing that, okay, I'm at the top of the amateur, I can now take my steps to the pros. And the first year I went to the pros, I won't lie, I was coming into Panoka, and I text BJ, and I'm like, I don't belong here, I suck, I'm horrible. And he's like, just go run your steer, like, back in the box, don't think about anything. He's like, you're not quitting until after Panoka at least, because, you can do well. Well, I ended up winning second, I think, or something in the first round out of there, and I didn't have any luck on my second one ever. Well, I went from there, and I won 2,100 or something from there, and from then on, I missed the pot for $2,000 that year. But going into Panoka, I told him I quit it, I suck, I'm horrible, I don't belong here. He didn't maybe talk me off of the edge of just wanting to quit. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't all rosy. I didn't just win all the time. But the first while was stepping in the pros. It's a big step. People don't maybe think of it as that, oh, you this year, but there's a lot of pressure when you're going against some maybe your idols or the people you looked up to, and I mean, and they're the best of the best. You stub your toe and you make one little mistake, you're out of the money. So I mean, it's not as easy as just like, oh, I'm going to back in the corner and maybe I stumble and trip or whatever it is and win money. It's usually like, oh, you're crying hole or you're out of the money.
Yeah, there's so much top talent that once you make that next step, like if you can't handle the adversity, or like if you're not used to kind of taking those punches and moving forward, you're gonna get weeded out pretty fast. You see it a lot in like every event.
With having BJ and Darren and just all of those guys that, again, you've been in that building. I've spent many a night in there and minus 30 back in my younger days. It nothing about it makes me want to go back there on those nights for sure. But just that comfort level with those guys and that feedback, how has that really kind of guided you throughout your career?
Oh, it's immense. It's kind of what made my career go where it went. I mean, I'm surrounded by, people on our road. I think just from dad's house to Lay's, which Brennan Lay and his dad and grandpa was the other one. I think there was like 9 or 10 Canadian championships there. A lot of bulldogging, there's been a couple of cat rope and stuff. So, I mean, when you practice, you're around winners. I feel like you kind of get that attitude and that, that mindset. I mean, my dad was, he was huge in what I've done. Without him, I probably wouldn't have got where I went. He's been very supportive about like when I didn't want to rodeo or when I was young. He said there were a lot of people to ask him, a lot of his old bulldog friends, like, why doesn't son jump steers? Dad's like, because then if he don't want to jump steers, like he'll jump if he wants to. If he doesn't want to do it, I'm not making him do it. Like it's his choice. And I mean, when I came back to bulldog, I'm very sure his heart went through his chest when I was like, I'll keep jump a steer. I mean, he even asked about looking for my horsepower. I've had some good ones. I started out with, some just good mediocre horses, and then I ended up finding my good bay mare, which pretty much has made my career. She ended up forcing the year in Canada, and then I did ride her my first NFR before she actually ended up going completely crippled. And then I just had her colts on her. So, I mean, horsepower, once again, thanks to my dad. But like, yeah, having BJ in there and Lays and stuff all around there. I mean, it's so easy because if I make a run and practice and I think, I don't know what I did wrong, one of them will say like, you did this wrong, that like this is what you need to fix, this is what you need to do. And it's kind of nice because every one of them had different bulldog styles. So like my dad is a little man, bulldog like a little man. So he couldn't turn him back. Like he could never turn a steer back like I can. And so we joke / argue a lot about it. Like, well, you just like, I don't want to slide. Like I want to slide a 1/4 inch. You had to slide like 10 feet. That's just difference. Like that's how it is. But I mean, yeah, all of those guys, I mean, have been astronomical in my career. And I mean, and I got to travel with some of the best in the world and be around them. I mean, Tanner and Kurt and them, I got to travel with them. I traveled with Tanner for 10 years of my life. My parents, I was married to him more than that's right. My wife, which Tanner was another one. Usually me taking my steps from the Canadians to the world. He said, because I was when I had my bear mare, he wanted to take her and ride her. And so usually come with me and enter with me. And I'm like, okay, like I really know what I'm doing. Like maybe I'm my comfort zone or we know where I want to be. And I had some close friends that travel with us all year. And then I end up going with Tanner and I mean, I never looked back. It's been a blast and he was an awesome travel with. And we worked so well together because we were the same way. He'd be like, oh, you need to, if you're at to do this. And I'd be like, yeah, you need to like stay up on your feet. And we always just back and forth. And I mean, it's kind of, I guess, just like I said, when you practice and you're around winners and people that have won, it makes it easy almost. It's like, it's not a hard task to do or to, get to that next level.
And it all like ties into developing that like winning mentality or that like I call like the killer mentality. That's one thing I've always been impressed with you, Scott, is every time I see you in a pressure situation or a time when you need to put a run down to win, like you always find a way to get that run made and you like are dialed in. You can see it on your face and your body language. And like how have you been able to develop that mentality over the years? I know obviously the influence of everybody you hung around and probably a lot of your experience, but what has led you to kind of have that killer I'm gonna win mentality that has helped you win so much in your career?
I mean, really, I think a lot of it's just like being focused and wanting, like knowing what I want to do and where I want to be or what I want to achieve. I mean, everyone says, everyone's like, I want to achieve this, that. Lots of people don't achieve it. But I think the biggest thing was, I mean, growing up, I honestly think a lot of it had to do with my school sports and hockey and stuff. And I had a very good team, and like we had that. There was always that mentality to win, and be focused. And that I have a hockey coach that I coached me pretty much through all my minor hockey. That was astronomical. In where I am and where I was focused when it comes to winning. He was always just very down to earth, but like, if we're here to win, you're focused. Like nothing matters what's going on for those 30 minutes or whatever, 60 minutes of the game, whatever you're, how many wins are left. Well, and I mean, and actually it's no different than bulldogging. It's like, I have to be focused for 5 minutes, say, from the bull starts to the center of the steer. I can be focused for 5 minutes. If I can't, like, it's not really helping. Nerves, I don't have them, thank goodness. A lot of people do, but they don't like it. I yawn before riding the box. Probably nobody really noticed. Lots of people hate it, and a lot of people are get really mad about like, you yawn. Like the rest of them are like, ready to fall off. We're so nervous. And you just yawn riding over the box. Like, it's just the way it is. And that's just the way I yawn. And I don't make myself yawn. I just do it. It's like a calming relief, I guess, to my body. And I take a breath. Like some guys say, they take a breath and, breathe it out before they nod or whatever. I know I saw Shelby Borges said that's what she did. And I'm like, I'm the opposite. Like I yawn going in the box to get air into my brain kind of thing. But I mean, yeah, winning, I really don't know what how I can be as focused or more focused to achieve what I did. That's just who I am, I guess. I mean, I really don't have an answer to that. I mean, I just try to be super positive and mentally strong, and don't let little things get me down, or like I said, be focused for 5 minutes. Yes, I may have been having the worst day in the world, but for 5 minutes, I could take that 5 minutes for myself and just do what I need to do.
Yeah, and I want to say that's how the champions separate themselves from the pack, right? They're able to kind of focus on the task at hand, get it done, and you've obviously figured out the formula that works for you. So it's pretty cool. And what was your first moment or the time when that I mean specifically in pro rodeo where you I know you said you pulled a check in Panoka and that kind of stuff, but your first big win where you're like, okay, I know I can be a top dog at this level. And nothing's going to stop me from getting that first Canadian title. Now you're already at your fourth. So what was that kind of aha moment or that moment of, oh man, I can be one of the best?
Well, yeah. So I think like I said, the Hanoka was kind of where I broke the ice in my head. I fit in here. I can actually bulldog with the best I can if I want, or I try. To get lucky. But I think the biggest thing, was the year that year when I just missed the bond by $2,000 was wow, I can do this. I didn't start till July. And then the next year I ended up coming back and I had won. I kind of was on a tear for the first start of the year. And then I went to Salida Scafari. I doing my PEC major. And that ended my career for that year or whatever. Well, I ended up staying number one in Canada for 6 weeks or something before they finally moved me out. I ended up being ninth, I think, making CFR with not being able to go. And that, I mean, really that year was the year that kind of broke through. That was I can do this. I didn't even rodeo from August on. If I put my mind to it and I do it, I can make it. And I mean, the year before when I just missed my 2000, and that year was kind of okay, I can do it. I just need to have a healthy year and other things. But I didn't really have one exact rodeo that's stuck to me. It was one. The Panoka was the biggest thing because I was quitting my weekend. I was overdone. I wasn't going to go to Williams Lake for crying out loud, and that went off. Actually, I got that going to Williams Lake. So
that makes total sense, man.
So again, obviously the boys there, and again, I think I'm pretty fortunate that Quade's such a good friend to little Cooper there, because I think Cooper and Little Ridge there are a little more temperament comparable there. But again, when you got to find that spot to focus for 5 minutes, do you think that's gotten easier or harder with the family and the kids these days?
I mean, the 5 minutes has not got harder, but I know it's the before, so I mean, kind of when I get rodeo in summer, and I'll be with the crew, I get to the rodeo, go check the draw, just kind of mosey around, do things. But when I have the kids, it's hectic, it's frustrating sometimes, I won't lie. And then I'll be but then usually once perf starts, I'm hey, Becky, you're taking the kids, and she does, to go sit down, I'm and then I need to focus for those 5 minutes. So, I mean, if the kids are along, it's a little more hectic, but I mean, I do know at the end of the day, I have when the bulldog starts, it doesn't matter where the kids are. My kids could be running across the arena. I probably still bulldog around them, honestly. But that's the thing. I mean, I know that they're there to support me, and so if I need those 5 minutes to do my thing, they're willing to give me those 5 minutes or whatever. And they'll come running up right after the moment I leave the arena. They're one on the horse, or they want to walk with me or whatever, which is fine. But I just those 5 minutes, and it's they kind of almost have come to the realization they know that's when Dad goes to bulldog, Becky's Dad's going to bulldog, and they just leave me alone. They don't cry or I want to go with him. They know that that's Dad's time to do what he needs.
Oh, Becky's such a strong support there too. So
yeah. Without her, I don't know if I could go to the rodeo either. So.
Do you have So we kind of mentioned, like Clay mentioned, that there's a lot of Canadian championships in your family, and with your dad winning one and your cousin Justin winning one as well. Did you ever feel pressure to win a Canadian title yourself, or was it just kind of there was a goal and you wanted to achieve it, but it wasn't gonna move, like what everybody else thought wasn't really gonna move the needle either way, or what was that like for you, kind of moving early in your career?
I mean, yes, I was one to win Canada and Calgary. I actually had a little paper when I was in grade 3. I think I saw it the other day. I read it. Went out. That was a while ago, but it was like win Canada and win Calgary Stampede. Like there were the 2 goals in my life I wanted to do. And I mean, yeah, I wanted to win Canada, but at the end of the day, like if I didn't do it, you know, it's fine. That not everyone wins one. It's not easy to win. I promise you. So I mean, if I don't win, I mean, I'd be proud of what I've done and what I've accomplished, and move on. I don't think it would have bothered me, or made me feel less person or whatever because I didn't win it. I wanted to win one. I wanted to put the time and effort, and I feel like that's where when I did go practice in the last 30, there was a reason I did it. It wasn't fun. It hurt. My horses didn't like it, but it was for the betterment of me, so I could get to that step to maybe have that chance at the year, being in the top 2 going into the last 2 of the season, kind of thing. So I mean, yeah, the biggest one was Calgary that I really wanted to win just because Dad had won it. I thought it'd be cool to have, my name and his name on the same thing. But that I had to wait till last year to do it. And I won't lie, before that, about a year before that, I was like, yeah, I'm probably never going to get back into Calgary just with the Calgary's qualification stuff. I didn't know, paid whatever, get back in, and it worked out, so it did, and I won it. So now looking back, I'm happy. But at the time, I was like, I didn't win it, and I moved on. It's life. I didn't get a chance, and I maybe did, go a couple times and didn't have any luck, and maybe made a couple mistakes myself. I lived with it, and that's just what it is. But I mean, that's being positive with your thinking, I guess.
Well, you seem to be a man on a mission last year at Stampede. Like you were throwing down some big runs, and the big moments didn't seem to phase you at all. And was that kind of what was driving you then? Is like, this might be my last chance to win, and I really want to get this done. So I need to do everything I can to get my name up on that list, like my dad.
Yeah. So honestly, I didn't really think of like the list or being like my dad. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing I noticed last year going into Calgary was I wasn't exhausted. Years passed when you rodeo all year, and then you're coming from here to there to here, and then you're in Calgary for 3 days, and then you're gone and that, and you're back here. Like I had pressure. Everyone said that, like, you look refreshed, like you look healthy, you look happy, like you don't look exhausted and wore out. And I noticed in my body, I wasn't sore going into Calgary quite often. I'm usually like, my hips are bothering from traveling or just sore bodies or whatever it is. And last year going in there healthy, it felt great to be as healthy and like feel like I'm, I can compete with the best guys in the world. It's a matter of, me doing it. And I mean, that's, I guess, how last year went. So we got lucky and did it for, yeah.
When you say you don't get nervous, but were you nervous a little bit in the 4 round at Stampede last year? Like that's going to be nerve-wracking for anybody.
Well, yeah. So I mean, I wasn't so much nervous as when they went like Will Wend was like 3, just 1 3 6. I'm like, I just like said, like, what the is going on here? Like, this is not like this run just got really tough about you guys. Riding in the box, honestly, from the moment I got on Tyson and riding in the box, don't remember any of it. Blanked out, completely, like just okay. I had to go back and rewatch her. Like, I don't remember what happened, how I even threw the steer down. Like all of it. And people were like, oh, you don't remember? Like, you didn't think? I'm like, it completely blacked out because I think it just went, my brain went completely focused on like I have to do what I need to do. I need to get to start, or I can't back off the barrier now. I have to try the barrier on. And so I ended up once again, right? Tyson, I knew riding the box. I didn't worry about I didn't worry about doing my job and me getting the start and making the run. And I mean, I knew I had a good steer. When they drew them, that was the steer. Lost guys like, oh, that's one you wanted. So I knew I had the steer. I just needed to use them.
Well, and it was so awesome to watch because I think you surprised everybody who didn't know you, who'd been watching on like the Cowboy Channel or stuff. But like all of us who knew you weren't surprised by that run at all. But then seeing you get up and celebrate, you're a guy who doesn't show a whole lot of emotion. What was going through your mind after that run? It was so cool to see you fired up and stoked to throw that run down.
Yeah, it was like, I mean, go course 3 come through, but I also was in awe that this actually happened. Like, I feel like I've been in the Final Four there a couple times and, never had good luck, but it was like, wow, it happened. And I guess I don't show a lot of emotion or a lot of like, ever celebrate. And I'm like, I don't, that's not how I am. That's not, I guess, conduct myself. And that day I was just like kind of in shock. And we had also announced that we were having another baby that day. And like, there was about 3 different things going on that day. And
Yeah.
it was, like, an emotional high, and I will lie, crashed the next day. I was exhausted and just like a white. At the time, yeah, I jumped up and, it was just, I looked at the clock where I turned, like when I was lying, like I looked at it, I saw what time it was, and I was like, wow, like this just happened. I jumped up and not even really looking at the barrier. Thank goodness it wasn't broken. But I mean, then I just went, excited and threw my hands up, I guess.
Well, it's such a cool day. There was the 4 Canadians won their event, and what was it like to be part of that? Yet, I know, like we're all pretty close up here. We all know each other, but just to have, and it's always one, like something with Stampede always gets knocked for the lack of Canadian content, but then to have Canadians win 4 out of the 7 events that day, it was such a cool moment for Canadian and Canadian rodeo.
Yeah, so I mean, it was really cool to be on stage with the guys that were on there, Canadians and the Americans, but the Canadians, I mean, Jared Parson and I have been super close. And, and it seems like we had to laugh because his wife said after I won, he's like, I just have a feeling Jared's going because you two win everything back to back. Yes, and I was like, yeah, what? You're not lying. Like I won Canada, he won Canada, kind of thing. And then, I mean, especially Bo Cooper was super nice having him on there, especially after his Houston deal, which was not cool. And then for him to just, made me pull through and really show the world like he still is the best. And like, and that one mistake isn't going to stop him to making this NFR was. I mean, it was pretty cool to be there, and I mean, both super nice guy. And then Logan, right? I can never way off of me, the two of them. But yeah, and then be on there with a Hay that's also renowned world name. They're some of the best in the bronc ride there is, and that be on stage with those 4 as Canadians was I mean an honor.
Well, and it kind of
was actually Dawson last year.
Oh, yeah, Dawson.
Logan
I remember them
before.
Yeah, it's pull off them. They look alike, and I said, which one they are. Thank goodness they don't judge me because they probably like this guy's an idiot.
Yeah, thanks for fact checking us, Clay. We need you to know that.
Yeah.
Well, and so that win in Calgary kind of springboarded the rest of the year for you. You went into CFR, had an awesome week, and locked in your 4th Canadian title. So what was was that just like the confidence boost you needed after Stampede? I'm not saying you were lacking any confidence, but just the kind of that push to kind of go after that 4th Canadian title. What was that kind of the game plan after Stampede?
Yeah, so the game plan after Stampede really did change. A lot of people were like, you're going to end down south and go. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not. If I make it, great. If I don't, that's fine. I mean, it definitely helped my confidence, for the rest of the year in the Canadian rodeos. But I mean, I don't know if it really changed much, on, me focusing on winning the Canadian championship. I mean, I was already within the top 5, I think, at that time in Canada. So I knew I had a shot. It was, staying focused, staying healthy, and, finishing out strong. So, I mean, I didn't really change any of my ideas, I guess. I stayed focused on what I wanted, which, was, winning the Canadian championship again. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I had 3 guys that were made the NFR that year, one of them being the number 1 guy in the world.
Yeah.
Or was not easy to beat, I promise you. He's a very good blogger. So I'm going into it. I know I need to stay strong in the rest of the year because he has left and gone back to the States. So I was like, I need to pick away and get some more money, just to keep within close distance of him, before the CFR. Because, if he has a good finals and even if I had a good finals, it would be hard to catch him. And so it worked out that he ended up not coming back up there for a while until the end, and then I caught up to it quite a bit. So that was nice.
When you always seem to have good success in Red Deer, like what was it about that arena that you were able to put some of your best runs together for your Canadian titles?
I'm not really sure because I did not do well in Edmonton, and I don't know. I'm a little worried about going back to Edmonton. But no, I think maybe just it was a little bit smaller, like atmosphere kind of thing. Maybe I'm not really sure, or if it was just a change and I finally grew up and learned how to blog in the finals, which is probably maybe what happens. I mean, the arena between it and Edmonton really wasn't a pile, like, to me wasn't different than like bands and there. It just felt the same, which is, I guess I think I matured from going to the finals I'd done or gone to before. So I think helped just, being confident and growing up and knowing how to win.
One, and so like with some of you, you have 4 Canadian titles, and where do they all rank? Like, what is there one that sticks out more than the others? Was last year's the one that meant the most to you, or are they all kind of on par? Like, where would you kind of rank your Canadian titles over the past few years?
I mean, honestly, I don't really think I rank any above any of them. I mean, winning the first one was definitely the coolest. Especially because I had a very young baby the year after that. Or then after that, my second one, that was when I had a brand new baby, pretty much a month old. But I mean, I don't think there's really any difference in them. They all mean the same. I mean, it's a dream come true to win a Canadian championship, let alone 4 of them, and to win some of them back to back is a pretty big feat in its own.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after winning the first one, I felt, okay, I've had my dad, I've kind of accomplished the goal I want to accomplish. Now I may have some other goals in my life through the rodeo, but those ones, I mean, the 4, I mean, I actually wear all the buckles very often. I just switch them in and out. Becky jokes that I need to win a 5th one so that we all can wear one Canadian championship buckle, but we'll see if that happens.
You've got some work to do this year.
Yeah, exactly. So I got my work cut out.
Well, in 2022, you also were awarded Cowboy of the Year, which is a huge honor for anybody, as anybody in rodeo knows. And so, what did it mean to get that award and be kind of voted on amongst your peers to be awarded the Cowboy of the Year? It's a pretty cool deal.
Yeah, it definitely caught me by surprise. I won't lie. I mean, like I said, it's not for me to sit out every year, because you're not going to sit out and be like, I want to win Cowboy of the Year this year. Being voted on by my peers, yes, it was I mean, an honor to win it. I mean, not many people win it, one a year. It's not like a lot of people win it every year. And I try to give back to rodeo. I sometimes don't give as much as I probably should, for our sports. But for people that have noticed that, I try to give back. I definitely try to help a lot of young guys right now. That they'll text me or call me or whatever and ask me, maybe some mental game stuff, or or just like bulldoggers, need some help with practice and stuff. And so I feel like that's the only way really right now I give back in rodeo. I'd like to have more schools, but once again, kids make that a little hard. But I mean, yeah, winning that was, a shock to me, shock to everybody, to my wife. But I mean, an honor to win it. And I mean, it's something I'll hold dear to my heart, that, I could represent, I guess, the sport of rodeo, and especially in the CPRA.
Go ahead, Clay, if you got some stuff. I've been yapping for a while here.
Oh, it's all good. I guess it's a little bit different thing. I thought it was just kind of an interesting story. Again, Gooseberry Lake, you said you never had any luck steer wrestling there, but I just wanted to bring up the Scott Guenthner rule in the boot race there.
Yeah. So they finally kind of put a rule in there, because I had won 9 pairs of boots out of there running in the race.
You won 9 pairs of boots?
Yeah. So you can run every day, one like they read every day. And if you were a contestant, you could run every day if you want to. Well, I had a couple of years that worked, and I'd go to kill him in the morning for slack and be back to Gooseberry, and then just was out there for the weekend. Well, I'd run 3 times and win 3 boots. So John Gaddy actually made a rule.
Craziest thing ever.
One, but I did win 9 pairs of boots out there. So it was a nice thing to have, because I didn't have to buy boots for a few years. Now I need another foot race somewhere. I've run in coordination a couple times for the beer, and I've won once, and I took one hell of a tip for one time, and it was.
I still laugh about that tumble.
Because I caught a spur, and I was like ways ahead, and then I ate dirt, and it was bad. But so now I don't run with my boots on anymore, because that's a dumb idea.
Yeah, I always laugh about that trip, because I saw you wearing those spurs, and I was like, geez, I don't know if that's a good idea. And sure,
well, that's a good idea when you get close to the beer box of beer.
Yeah. Well, and I always laugh because those 3 guys behind you all crashed onto that box at the same time, and it just went.
Yeah, it exploded.
Yeah, that's funny. I can't do 9 pairs of boots. That's ridiculous. I guess they probably just had to be like, no, man, no more boots for you.
Yeah, well, yeah. John Gaddy, he was on the committee. He's like, okay, I think we gotta put some rule in, so some of these guys can't win a pair of boots every day all weekend long. And I was like, okay, fine, I guess.
That's so wild. I love that. I didn't know that. That's a nice one, Clay. I love that.
I like that it took 9 pairs for the change.
That's so crazy. What the hell?
I mean, I know
Well,
Skinner
I-
and Big Deal on that committee, so
Yeah, well, it was the last year that kind of put over because I won all 3 days. The other year I'd won like 2 or 1 or whatever, but then last year I won 3 because I worked out that week. And we did. People were like, "You're entering like this." I'm like, no, I didn't enter to be a kill in Slack, but it worked and we were in Slack and I can be back to use first with you and I probably run for other pairs. So
Oh man, so good. Okay, so we touched a little bit on Edmonton CFR. You said you never really had much luck there before it moved to Red Deer, but it's headed back to Edmonton this year, and I just want to know your thoughts on kind of the move back and what it means for the CFR to be back in Edmonton for the 50th year.
I mean, I think it'd be awesome. I mean, I'm always for change. I know Cowboys don't like change. We all know that. But I mean, I think if we can make it better and make it bigger, and get some more money coming in, especially for us contestants, running get more money at the final would be nice. I know it's not for sure not exactly more money, but it's the start. And I just think maybe Edmonton has a little more to offer right now than Red Deer did. Red Deer I thought this last year was awesome. I mean, the hall with all of the dances and the music and that stuff, it jammed. I thought it was awesome. It was, great to see because the first few years, it's hard for Red Deer, in my opinion, because they had to go through COVID and they had to go through what are you ups and downs of entirely nothing to do with rodeo, but just society alone. But I think Edmonton really want it back, and I think it'll be better. Better there for just people wise. I mean, I think for the city of Edmonton, even because people get to stay there. Whereas in Red Deer, being so central, I mean, half my family drive home, come back every day, and they didn't shop, they didn't eat in the city as much as they do when they were in Edmonton. They'd stay there, and eat, they ate and they shopped and everything, which I think it helps if the city gets the boost back. Then I feel like they would want, then they're willing to put a little money or try to find a sponsor or whatever when there's some benefits, or pullbacks for the city better themselves. But otherwise, I mean, I'll be interested to see it in Rogers Place. I've never been in Rogers Place. It's amazing.
So nice.
But I'm a little curious, a little interested to see how this the stock getting in and out and all over here and park that I have Valley over actually kind of on the Edmonton's board or whatever, not Rogers Place, but the Edmonton board. She was telling me this is where we're gonna park you and stuff, and I'm like, it's all fine, it should work, but I mean, it'll just be it'll be changed, and there'll be a lot of and there might be a little bit of fighting, or whatever. Because people that's stupid, but it'll work itself out. But I mean, if we can find out where we can get some more money, start adding it to our prize money, I think it'll be a big deal. And then I mean, just being in the capital, I think it just helps everything in general.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have it kind of in a major center where people can have access to stuff and kind of be on a bigger platform, a bigger stage for the CFR. And I think too, with how the state of rodeo, I think last year was one of the best competition levels I saw at a CFR in a long time. So it'll be cool to have that level of competition in a building like Rogers, and they all come together. And I think there'll be some growing pains, like you say, but I think it'll be really cool to have it all come together in the city of champions.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. When we left Northlands, there was still growing pains every once in a while.
Yeah,
and they'd been happening worse. So I mean, it always changes. I mean, I've been in Vegas and it's pretty solid, but there's still the odd time there's something this is stupid or this is a change. And does it change? No, not always. But it is what it is. And I mean, nothing's perfect. So I mean, there's always been something that somebody maybe looks at and takes things to change or whatever. But I mean, if you guys, if people on the boards are open, minded to try it or look at it at least, I think it's a big thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and so yeah, kind of back to 2024, we got, you said you're hitting the road again, you're chasing it again. Who are some of the people you're traveling with? Is just you and the fam most of the places, or are you going, who is your go-to traveling partners these days?
No, so my family, they'll go with some of the littler ones, but I'll have Eileen still traveled with them for a couple of years now. Lennon Beardsworth traveled with me for 2 years now, and then Jace Beliles from Arizona. He made the CFR in 2022, I think it was, 2030. Well, he jumped in this year with us, so this should be a good crew. They're a lot younger than I am, all of them. they laugh at it. I don't think it's very funny. But I mean, I'm kind of that. I always say I'm kind of that stage right now in my career where I'm, I want to be its best, be the best, in the rodeo world or whatever, but take on some of the younger guys and try to kind of get them their feet in the doors and, experience it and kind of help them or, I guess be a support system for them and, be there for them and help them learn the ropes and everything, because it's not easy. And you might think you know it all when you get in there, and then you're like, oh, wow, like there's things I still like, oh, I didn't know that or whatever. But, if I can help those younger guys, feel confident and start winning and make the CFR, that's kind of what I feel like my goal is nowadays.
Is there anything that they've taught you over the past couple of years traveling with them from young guys?
No, there's not a lot. I'm like, oh, I'm glad I'm over this, and I'm married and I have kids, and I don't have to be around people. And yeah, beer stands not so fun anymore for my old age. But,
so then, are you doing all the entering and stuff, or do you have someone designated in the truck, or you're pretty much the rodeo dad for these guys?
Yeah, so I am. Yeah, I do enter. I'm funny is when I travel with enter, I never entered a rodeo. Like I actually don't even know if I'd ever entered a rodeo until like 3 years or 4 years ago. Finally entered some rodeo stuff, and so now I just do all the entering and make it easier, because some trucks I know some guys will enter 1 week and the guy next year enter next week, but this way we just don't get forgotten. It's just I have a alarm on my phone every day to enter, and then go from there. And I mean, kind of try to make it easy on them, and they just kind of show up and get on. I mean, I have some horsepower, and so they just ride on. Except Jace has one, I guess, but they'll just perhaps get in the truck and show up to the rodeo and get on my horse and win, and that's kind of how it is. So
perfect. Well, Clay, I'm kind of my end of the end of my list of questions, unless you got anything else.
Yeah, no, I mean, tell us a little bit more about that horse you've been hauling these last few years. I know, again, Tyson's still the main go-to at some of the bigger ones, but I know you also pride yourself on that horse that you've been hauling for yourself.
Yeah, so I got this sort of horse, I guess it would be 3 years ago now, or 4. I don't remember exactly, 3 or 4. From Oscar Walters Quarter Horses. He was Oscar's pride joy horse that he wasn't going to sell to anyone, and he someday had a minor meltdown, I guess, or I don't know what he had, but he called me like, I would sell this horse, but you're the one that's going to get cast spot. I'm like, okay. So I tried him and I bought him and I started jumping steers on him. And then that was, I guess, within the last year of my rodeo hard in the States. And I started tying and so then he run steers on him. I kind of seen him that year out here. And I'd ride him when he come back up once in a while. And then since then, he just started to get more and more solid and becoming real honest. He's super easy to win on. I guess 2022, when I set the new earnings, I actually didn't ride him a lot. I rode him 6 rodeos. The rest of the time I rode a bay horse that I owned, and I've now sold. But, since then, last year, he was just, even my go-to horse, I rode him everywhere. He was easy. He was easy to win on. He did back quarter. He's still moving, just taking the corner, but he's starting to get pretty solid. Very nice to have, and it's nice to have a nice connection with Oscar and those guys, because I've got some pretty nice horses, and I keep getting the odd extra one or all the way. And then my Hayes horse is actually the Ratchies. My dad owns him. He's from Purdy's. He was Trey Purdy's horse before he was passed away. And so it's pretty nice to have him. Of course, once again, dad's supporting my horse industry and my horse is behind. But between the two of them, they make it pretty easy. The Hayes horse is easy days on. Pretty much, I could jump on him and aid. And so, it's pretty easy and pretty nice to have a nice team like that. Especially in Canada, we don't have we have some nice horses in Canada. We don't have a lot of blood horses right now. In Canada, there's about 7 of us, 7 or 8 of them, I guess, really, that are going hard all the time. So to have one in our rig and then that's another one. Will be nice to have 2 nice horses in our rig with 4 guys.
Well, Scott, thanks so much for the time today, man. I really appreciate you making it work and letting us bother you on an Easter Monday, and we'll definitely be cheering for you in this 2024 season.
Thank you. No problem, and I enjoyed the visiting.
Alrighty, this has been episode 10 of the Short Round. We'll be right back right after this.